President Akufo-Addo has expressed worry about what he describes as a blatant misreporting of facts in the media. Equally worrying for him is the use of social media to malign individuals without basis. Addressing the 12th congregation of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, President Akufo-Addo said that development, if not checked, will reduce public confidence in the media and may lead to anarchy.
The work of the media has its own associated risks and inherent challenges, especially in this age of social media. I will focus only on two of these challenges. First is the risk of deliberate misinformation campaigns by some elements in the democratic space. And second, blatant misinformation by media practitioners, often in their desire to be first with the news and thus get a punchy, juicy headline. As is unfolding before our very eyes on a daily basis, this deliberate misinformation campaigns, which in themselves are not new in politics and war, have now gained added currency with the proliferation of media channels. This is not only the preserve of enemy states in times of war, but has also now become a vociferous tool of political actors who aim to win public relations battles by fabricating or twisting facts and churning them out either through traditional media or new media channels as news. This is a major threat to the integrity of the news world as we have known it. It is not something to be left only to regulators to deal with. It is something that the whole world of media practitioners, including you, members of the graduating class, must resolutely confront and assist the society to identify and eliminate. We must therefore recognize the need for training, critical engagement by society with our media, self-regulation, and insistence on media ethics and journalistic standards by media houses, practitioners, and their organizations as part of the process of building a culture of high standards and professionalism in the Ghanaian media. This has largely been accepted as the means of addressing the current shortcomings and ills of our media landscape. The second risk we have to guard against is that of inadvertent misinformation that is sometimes published by mainstream media, which has also the potential to lead us all in a race to the bottom. This happens when there's a little twist of facts, often to get the best headline, or a publication of the unverified claim in the haste to be first in breaking the news. The worrying trend is that in many cases, even after the public has been misinformed and the true facts are later made known, mainstream media often chickens out.
In all, 870 students graduated with degrees, diplomas, and certificates. President Akufo-Addo reiterated his commitment to press freedom, stressing the repeal of the criminal libel law and yet to be passed right to information bill demonstrate government's concern for the independence of the media.
Strengthening media literacy and communication excellence in Ghana. It is important to stress that the media has always been a critical feature of the political, social, and economic architecture of our country, and continues to be so. The Ghanaian media has been very active in tackling the social ills of our country and advocating for the investment that will contribute to the sustainable development of the country. Today, as a result of the repeal of the criminal libel law on 27 July 2001, a process I had the privilege as Attorney General to lead in Parliament, the Ghanaian citizen is able to give boldly and freely his or her feedback on policies and programs of government. civil society groups are able to interrogate fearlessly government actions and positions, compare them to global best practices, and offer views and critiques aimed at complementing the efforts of government. And the political opposition is able to raise dissent openly, canvass for alternative viewpoints, and by so doing, offer our citizens alternatives to consider on all key issues of our national discourse. No wonder Ghana is, according to Reporters Without Borders, the #1 country in Africa in the Global Press Freedom Index.
The World Bank is said to have criticized government's approach to the fight against Galamsey, saying it may not be an effective way in keeping the operators away. Government launched the Operation Vanguard Task Force last year with a team of police and military personnel expected to ensure the illegal miners stop the activities, blamed for the pillaging of the environment and the pollution of water bodies. Those some 1,374 suspects have been arrested and 141 of them convicted. Coordinator of the Multi-Sectoral Mining Integrated Project, MMIP, Dr. Isaac Kakari, says government is being advised to rethink the strategy. He was speaking on the sidelines of the 7th Dialogue Policy Series organized by the Ministry of Planning in Accra.
World Bank has interesting issues. We are working with them now on the MMIP project. They think that that option was ineffective because they are looking at it more from a point of view of reputational risk and so on. So, they think that for us to keep them there, it will cost about $20 million US, which could be sent to other sectors. You will tend to agree with them to some extent, but looking at it holistically, I believe that it's a very good step we did in the initial stages, but technically, from a technical point of view, I think that they cannot be there forever. They also may want to go back to the barracks, but that will only happen on the orders of the president. The Operation Vanguard has made a lot of progress. We think that, they could have done better, but looking at circumstances and the fact that they are constrained by logistics and things like that, I think they've done a lot. The arrests have been very huge in my mind, looking at the challenges on the ground. But the conventions have been very low. And so we are thinking that, especially working with the World Bank, we need to look at it again and see whether moving forward, we need to keep our soldiers on the ground for that long. Eventually, perhaps what will happen is that when the multi-sectoral mining integrated project kicks in, they may be used only for emergency purposes, but because we are advocating for the creation of what we call the mining guards, who would be deployed and then try to use drones and so on to be able to combat this menace. Strategies are there. They may be involved at a level, but it will not be as if they will be kept on the ground for that long. So I think that for the moment they've done very well, and we should congratulate our troops for having made sure that some discipline was brought at that level of land devastation.
Despite the low convictions, the Operation Vanguard team has made some progress, having immobilized 5,816 Chamfang machines, seized 2,408 ammunition, and also 1,078 water pumps. The Executive Director of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, Emmanuel Kuyele, also raised concerns about the militarization of the mining communities.
It's good sometimes when we are confronted with a security situation to deploy the military. I don't think it's it's good in the medium to long term to keep our military, in that operation. First of all, there's apart from the fact that that's not, we don't want to militarize our small-scale mining sector, and two, you don't want a situation where you compromise the military. And if we do compromise our military, we'll have a very serious security implication on the country. And so, as soon as possible, I think all the policy measures and interventions that government have been talking about should be rolled out as soon as possible, and so we can get our military back into the barracks. Okay. Some of the communities are already, Galamseyers, some of them are already armed anyway.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin, former Transport Minister Jifa Ativo is seeking the chairmanship of the opposition National Democratic Congress in the Volta region. Also in the bulletin, the woman who was the bank customer who was assaulted in the banking hall of Midland Savings and Loans has inspected a 2-bedroom house which could be her home in some 3 months. And then later on Joy News Interactive, there's another viral video that's out there. And we're asking you, this bodyguard of President Akufo-Addo, did he just overreact or he was just doing his job? So get onto our Facebook page and get to leave your comments there. We're taking a break. We'll bring you more news in a bit. Stay tuned. The Christian Health Association of Ghana, an umbrella organization of health facilities, has entered into an agreement with the pharmaceutical group Pharma Access to ensure its member hospitals and clinics get access to quality, genuine medical supplies. Executive Director Peter Yeboah says the arrangement should also help significantly reduce the cost of supplies. F.Y. Evans Chinwe reports.
Health Association of Ghana has continued to play a crucial role in the country's health sector, as its member health facilities can be found in many remote parts of the country where most privately owned hospitals would not want to venture. It is estimated that about 30% of the population rely on its member facilities for health care. The agreement with the pharmaceutical group, according to the Executive Director Peter Yeboah, offers many advantages to members, especially because of the emerging changes and challenges in the country's health sector.
There are several weaknesses. The supply chain system in Ghana is fragmented. There are latent weaknesses that affect the delivery of quality and affordable medicines. And as you may have heard, 1 in every 4 medicines or 3 medicines dispensed is said to be fake, counterfeit, or substandard. Naturally, therefore, we need a system that assures sustainable and quality and sustainable supply of quality and affordable medicines to all and needy. It's about ensuring that anyone who needs healthcare enters CHAF facility, becomes satisfied and fulfilled. And then in conscience as health professionals, we are also very, very confident that whatever we prescribe and dispense to patients would achieve the intended effect. And that is why CHAG recognizes the need in these times where we are experiencing several changes and challenges in the healthcare system that require that a robust and reliable supply chain system is very much indispensable. In fact, it is so much needed that it is the nerve center or backbone of any health system.
Director of Advocacy and Program Development at the Pharma Access Foundation, Dr. Kwesi Boahene, explains supply chain system CHAG is signed onto is an innovative platform that's also efficient.
So you have a platform where facilities can order medicines. Yeah, and the medicines on the platforms, they are medicines which have been checked
on computer.
So you go online if you need a dress, you go online. I don't know which platform you use. You go online and you order something, and in most cases you go to a specific platform because you trust that platform. Yeah, so that is what we're doing here, and that in the CHAG facilities they will be linked to a system where they can order medicines. So we're talking about clinics, we're talking about primary healthcare centers, hospitals, facilities that are delivering care. You know, they need to get access to high quality medicines, and that is what the platform is about.
He says they eventually expect to introduce the National Health Insurance Authority and other healthcare providers to the system.
54 members of the opposition National Democratic Congress aspiring for various regional executive positions in the Volta region would face a vetting committee over the next 3 days. The aspirants are expected to prove to the vetting committee they have what it takes to contribute to the gains of the party. Now, Fred Kwame Asare reports former Transport Minister Jifa Ativo is one of those contesting, and she wants to run for the chairmanship of the Volta region of the NDC. We'll bring you that report later. But right now, 8 fuel smuggling suspects have been remanded in police custody by the Circuit Court at Aplau in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region. The suspects were on Thursday dawn arrested at sea with various quantities of smuggled fuel suspected to be diesel or marine fuel. Smuggling of fuel across the country's eastern border at Aplau to neighboring Togo is not a new phenomenon and is compounded by the porous nature of the Ghana-Togo boundary. The interception was jointly carried out by the National Security and the police outfits in Accra together with their counterparts and SEPT officials at the Aflao Sector Command of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Let's get onto the line and speak with our Volta Region correspondent Ivy Setoji, who has been following this story. Ivy, what more can you tell us about this arrest?
Well, the smuggling of fuel across the country is now abroad, according to the Security Service. And intercepted fuel were 9 big drums and 36 gallons of 25-liter yellow jerrycan containers. 76 empty big drums and 19 empty 25-liter yellow gallons were also intercepted during the 5-hour operation based on the available intelligence sent by the Security Service. Now, some of the residents are complaining that with these operations by the Security Service, armed robbery will be high in the district, that's the Ketu South municipality, that these are some of the things they do to also feed their families. The Security Service is also saying that even though they spoke of record, they're also saying that they do anything to bring these people to book.
So you're essentially saying that the residents are, in support of the smuggling? Yeah,
some residents are saying that some of these things they do to survive. You know, they smuggle Togo to Ghana and then Ghana to Togo just to survive because they don't have work to do. And so when we're ready to take on camera and to with this operation, arresting this suspect, other people, other arrests may be followed, and that may increase armed robbery in the municipality. So that means some residents are not in support of the arrest.
All right, thank you very much, Ivy Setoji, there bringing us that update. Now, to our earlier story, 54 members of the opposition National Democratic Congress aspiring for various regional executive positions in the Volta region would face a vetting committee over the next 3 days. The aspirants are expected to prove to the committee they have what it takes to contribute to the gains of the party. Fred Kwame Asare reports former Transport Minister Jifa Ativo, who resigned over the bus branding scandal, is hoping to be elected regional chairman.
2 members are contesting for the regional chairmanship, 4 contesting for the secretary position, while 2 others are gunning to become regional organizer. 6 members also submitted forms to contest the vice chairman position, with the deputy youth organizer position receiving the highest aspirant of 7. Former Transport Minister Jifa Ativo is hoping to wrestle the chairmanship seat from the incumbent Volta regional chairman Japon Kujo, who is also seeking a re-election. Jifa Ativo asserted the electoral fortunes of the NDC in the Volta region had witnessed a declining trend, hence her decision to take over administration of the party to contribute increased votes for the NDC.
Year on, the elections have produced results which are less than what we had previously. It is not good for us as a well bank of the party. So I am motivated to come on board to ensure there is total unity among the NDC people of Volta region, so that come 2020 we'll work together to wrestle power from the NPP.
But the incumbent regional chairman, Japon Kujo, is upbeat about retaining his position, considering the immense growth he says the regional branch of the NDC has witnessed under his stewardship.
We came to meet a rented premises. We were in a rented house and we were owing even more than 15,000 Ghana cedis. And I came within 2 years. We have paid the arrears. We left the party, the rented party office, and today, as you are here, you see a very nice party office, well-furnished party office.
Former Akachi North District Chief Executive James Gunu, who is eyeing the regional secretary position, outlined the implementation of the Professor Kwesi Botchwey recommendations, establishing strong research and communication units as some of its objectives aimed at enhancing the NDC's fortunes in the region. The vetting process will end on Sunday, which would subsequently be followed with rigorous campaign by aspirants who would be approved to contest. The NDC regional executive elections, slated for September 1, 2018, would be held in Ho. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
We're taking a break to bring you business news, but still ahead in the bulletin, the woman whose assault by a police officer in one of the banking halls of Midland Savings and Loans was captured in a viral video has inspected a 2-bedroom house that the company is going to give to her as compensation for her ordeal. Stay tuned, business news is next.
Hello again, good evening to you. Time now for business. Now, a day after he announced the consolidation of 5 local banks in the financial distress, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, has assured local banks struggling to meet the new capital requirement that they will be assisted by government. He disclosed this at the Ghana Association of Bankers Business Luncheon held in Accra. There's more in the following report.
Addressing banking chiefs and players in the financial sector, the governor, however, maintained that this will be based on some conditions.
In order to address the overall risks of the industry and to properly risk profile individual banks, we are revising the current risk-based supervision framework to take into account the current developments in the global banking environment. As part of our efforts to reduce the level of impaired assets, we have embarked on an exercise with the banks to help clean their books and remove the structural challenges that undermine the effective credit delivery process.
The governor also described the decision to close down the 5 banks as very painful.
The actions that we have taken, we are looking at promoting the overall good of the financial sector. These actions are not easy to take, and I can give you an account of how I communicated the decision to the directors of the banks that were involved. I tell you, this was not an easy decision.
He also had some advice for those who think it's bad for all the local banks.
We have some very good banks, very good indigenous banks that are doing very well. I don't want to, the last time I did this, I mentioned a few banks' names and the others were upset. So today I'm not going to mention the indigenous Ghanaian banks that I think are doing very well. So we have some very good Ghanaian banks. And I encourage the public to be confident in sending their deposits to a Ghanaian bank.
The governor was optimistic that some of the recent measures taken would indeed help stabilize the market. He also spoke about the city's performance.
However, the government has indicated that such support will be limited to indigenous banks that are solvent, well-governed and managed, and in full compliance with the Bank of Ghana's regulatory requirements, and able to demonstrate that they have been unable to access private sector solutions for recapitalization. Looking ahead.
Speaking at the same meeting, Vice President of the Association, Frank Edu, said everything must be done to ensure that the recent regulation measures have little impact on local banks and those in good standing.
We are also concerned about the image that some of these actions, although very positive, in the sense that it's securing the sanctity of the banking sector. It's making sure that customers do not lose deposits. It's meant to build confidence, further confidence in the banking sector. Nonetheless, the way the story is portrayed by the press somewhat also gives cause for concern. So, to the extent that all these actions seem to have affected local banks, and even though the governor has on occasion mentioned that not all local banks are in trouble, it would appear that if we are not careful, this tsunami, the effect of this tsunami may be extended and therefore cause problems, not for only local banks, but also for other banks.
The association also gave special honors to the outgoing managing director of Barclays Bank, Patience Achianu.
I'm very grateful for making me successful, because without you and your support, I don't think I would have been able to achieve what I have achieved so far. And to everyone else, thank you all. Enhance our contribution to the financial services industry, because you agree with it, and we're going to offer a lot of scope, seeking your support on the way forward.
The Ghana Bankers Association was also confident that strong competition in the banking sector would indeed lead to efficiencies in the operations and provide quality service to customers. The banking sector saw its asset for last year grow by 12.8% to 93.2 billion cedis. Deposits, on the other hand, reached 58.3 billion cedis after a 10% jump.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, says even though the Bank of Ghana's intervention to consolidate 5 local banks which were in financial distress is commendable, the action will have negative effects on the performance of local banks. The public has expressed diverse opinions about the current development, with some saying it will lower confidence in the banking sector. But speaking to Joy Business, CEO of the chamber, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, fears such ill perceptions have the potential of destroying other local banks that are in good standing.
So for we find it unfortunate that typical local businesses should encounter this challenge. Naturally, AGI is pro-local, pro-indigenous, so we want to support local businesses to grow. So we find this development very unfortunate, and especially the fact that people have invested capital, they've brought businesses to a certain level, and unfortunately, it's all going down the drain. In situations like this, the tendency is to generalize, and create panic among all banks or all indigenous or local banks. I don't think we should do that. So far, the banks that have been in this situation are 5 or so that have been consolidated. There are other local banks that are doing pretty well. We've not had indication that they are also going down. So we shouldn't create panic in the system that actually destroys all banks, all local banks. We shouldn't do that. We should rather encourage those who are doing well to continue doing well, and we should support them to do well. But those who are not going by the laws of the land, of course, Bank of Ghana has every right to intervene, and interventions of this nature are necessary to make sure that we streamline things. And for us, our larger interest is the general economy and the general business environment, so that businesses can progress and contribute to the economic development of the country.
Now, the Public Utilities Workers Union, PUWU, has called on government to withdraw what it terms outrageous tax incentives to multinational companies. According to PU, this will help restore quality public sector delivery. This came up at a press briefing under the theme Illicit Financial Inflows and the Needed Revenue for Public Service Development. A representative of the Public Utility Workers Union, Marwan Ansa, said managers of the economy must consider the threats of privatization to quality public service delivery and how much the country loses to tax incentives.
Ghana can fund quality public services when it stops giving out outrageous tax incentives to multinational companies. Now, the trade union and CSO converged in Ghana on 27th and 28th of July 2018 under the theme Illicit Financial Flows and the Needed Revenue for Public Services Development. The meeting, among other things, sought to provide an avenue for sharing and discussing some of the domestic revenue mobilization constraints and opportunities in Ghana, the threat of privatization and quality public service delivery, and how much the country loses to taxes, tax incentive and other waivers to multinational companies. This exercise seeks to help the country raise more revenue to fulfill government agenda of Ghana Beyond Aid. Now, during our deliberations, unfortunately, these things came up. One, the Ghana ExxonMobil draft agreement, just like previous ones, export and import duties are likely to be waived, as in a draft agreement. As seen in the draft agreement we've cited, it further violates Section 67, subsection 6 of the Income Tax Law Act 896.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, Edward Karewe, is describing moves by government to absorb 50% of interest on loans to investors of the One District, One Factory program as overambitious and unrealistic. He said the idea is good, but will put pressure on state coffers. Edward Karewe made the reaction after the senior minister announced recently that the government is considering that incentives to attract more investors into the program. There's more in this report.
The One District, One Factory initiative is a flagship policy by the government to transform the economy into an expert-led and create employment for the youth. After more than a year of launch, many potential investors have still not been able to secure funds to kickstart their projects. This has influenced the government to announce an incentive to attract more investors into the policy. According to Senior Minister Yao Safumafo, half of interest on loans to be secured by investors for the policy will be taken care of by government. Reacting to the announcement, Executive Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karewe, described the move as wasteful.
The question is, why should government go in to take 50% of that? Why? And then how much is that in total? So if the interest rate is so high and government now has to go in for 50% of it, government would have been better if they reduce the interest rate. They make the interest rate to come down so that they do not even just get involved. You know, so at the end of the day, there's a taxpayer's money that is going to be used to support a private producer. What then happens if that private producer runs at a loss? Who bears the cost? You know, and for that private producer not to run at a loss, it also requires that government puts in place certain structures. But unfortunately, permit me to say, I'm not seeing that.
He believes the program will put an additional burden to the taxpayer.
To say you don't agree, it's just that it's a good idea, but the good idea could be over-ambitious. You know, it could be over-ambitious, and sometimes some of them are not well thought. Why am I saying so? Because if you look at the current situation where the Commander Sugar Factory is sitting there without raw material to power it, and that is only one factory. You know, it is possible that some of these factories that are to be set, within 2 years, 3 years, they may not even find the raw materials to operate them, you know.
And that's all in business tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Boaji. We have there's more news ahead. Have a good evening.
A meeting meant to restore peace between Ghanaian spare parts dealers and their Nigerian counterparts ended abruptly as Ghanaian spare parts dealers were not listening to leadership of the police. The locals defied the presence of the armed police officers who escorted the regional police commander DCOP Duku to the meeting grounds and insisted government must intervene to remove all Nigerian retailers from the enclave. A tense atmosphere at the Swami Magazine enclave as the members of GUTA continue to mount pressure to dominate the retail market at the industrial hub. And Senso Mensah has been following the event and reports.
The supposed peace talk between the local retailers at Swami Magazine and their Nigerian counterparts was scheduled to start at 2 p.m. but started late. The Nigerian retailers were unable to attend the meeting. The Swami Magazine enclave was charged as the local spare parts dealers tied red bands around their hands and heads. Amidst the chants from the crowd, the regional police commander, DCO Piduku, managed to address them, but for some few minutes.
All we want is peace, and for every individual here to continue with his or her work. With the help of the task force, we will enforce laws to ensure peace over here.
A plea by the commander to allow the foreigners to trade with the Guta members was met with fierce opposition amidst chants.
It has taken care of a lot. Magazine do not belong to Nigerians. Magazine do not belong to Chinese. We are speaking for our own nation. No Nigerian, no Chinese, no Lebanese has the right to involve in local trade. Yes. That is what we are speaking for. That is what we are standing for. I have said it over and over, sir. I tell you, my friends are troublesome. Bribe. Now Ghana police, I'm permit, I tell you, sir, the embassy, that is the very reason why.
Ashanti Guta PRO, Albert Ofer, who appears to be on the same page with their members, insists the laws of the country must work to put matters to rest.
That none of Nigerians has even a documents allow them to do that, even hawkers or trading or retailing. So they stand on that chance because they knew that the law has already says clear that no foreigners is allowed to do retailing business. And they have seen many Nigerians who are engaging their business in magazine, whereby they don't have any documents. So they want to tell the public and the whole people that until the task force come before they agree with the task force. Otherwise, if only police commander were even instructing them, then it would be boot to boot. So the police commander himself, he saw it and he heard it. What we all advise is the government should have exercise patience concerning magazine issue and bring the task force immediate as is possible, that the peace can prevail in magazine.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Asensu Mensah.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin. We'll bring you showbiz, but later on, where news just coming in is that the government has decided to postpone the closed season, the controversial closed season, to next year. That certainly is some good news for the fishermen here in the Greater Accra region. We're taking a break now. Showbiz follows next. Up to 33% of groundwater supplies in Ghana do not meet the recommended levels prescribed by the Ghana Standards Authority. The situation is prevalent in the Ashanti region. That's according to the Chief Executive Officer of the Community and Water Sanitation Agency, Engineer Wolanyo Kweju Siabi. Engineer Wolanyo says a water safety framework developed in 2010 to address the situation has become difficult because the agency lacks funds. He spoke at the 2018 Community Water and Sanitation Agency Review Conference in Ejisu.
Leadership of the Community Water and Sanitation Agency from offices of the various regions in the country converged in Ejisu for 4 days. The event was to review the 2017 report of their operations. The theme was to assess the progress and implementation of the reforms set up in 2017 to address sanitation and water challenges associated with the sector. CEO of the agency, Engineer Wolanyo, says a water safety framework developed in 2010 to address the sanitation challenges has become difficult because the agency lacks funds.
For the past 10 years, we have not received more than 55,000 cedis annually for the whole of the agency. And so we are unable to go and monitor water systems. CWSA relies heavily on government subventions which is always released annually. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get it very close to the end of the year. If you're not lucky, you won't get it. And because we are now middle income, all the donors are running away. It is also instructive, Chairman, to note that the policy statement from the Ministry of Finance suggests a growing preference for self-financing projects. This emerging reality, even though it's a good policy for the health of the economy, is disadvantageous to the agency because the services we provide are social services. And so it's difficult.
Related to the above, the agency has discovered about 70% of water produced daily on water systems cannot be accounted for.
We estimated that between 20 to 33% of groundwater supplies in Eastern, Central, Western, Brown Hapu, Greater Accra, and Ashanti regions do not meet recommended levels, the highest occurring in the Ashanti region. In the northern part of Ghana, because of water scarcity, many of the communities will just not complain of the quality of the water source that is provided.
Deputy Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, Michael Jato, has been assuring the agency of measures by government to address the challenges.
The bank customer who was captured in a viral video being brutally assaulted by a policeman has been compensated with a 2-bedroom semi-detached house. Patience Osafo's assault by the police officer at the East Legon branch of Midland Savings and Loans Company was widely condemned and got members of the public offering to donate to her for her upkeep. Patience Osafo Friday inspected the house that would be eventually handed over to her, and an undisclosed amount of money was also given to her as settlement for the ordeal she endured. Joining us, Martha Crenzel Aqua witnessed the inspection of the property at Fete in Kwantanan in the Central Region and reports.
I am currently at Fete in Kwantanan in the Central Region, right after Budoburam, and we are here to perform a simple ceremony for Madam Patience Osafo, who you know by now was brutally assaulted by a policeman at Midland Savings and Loans. After her video went viral, people expressed outrage. Most people actually condemned it. Midland Savings and Loan today is taking up an activity that is expected to settle the dispute between the client and the Savings and Loans Company.
KCT and that's how we 2-bedroom semi-detached. It been a wage and see 1 plot and a yabel this side and it's so.
So it is time for Madam Patience Osafo to go and inspect it. You can come along with me and let's take a tour.
I have a living room. I come in hall. Yes. What they were cylinder now a crown we pee a children. Okay, 1 bedroom when according to your plan, a dining storage a master bedroom. We have a living room, 2-bedroom, kitchen, and we have bath, a washroom, guest washroom, and a master bedroom. Yeah.
So to be done before she will move in, is everything complete? Can you assure us that everything is complete, as a lawyer said, in the next 3 months she can move in?
Well, we have to clean inside and make the keys ready. We have already painted everything inside. And the bulbs too, you will provide yourself. This building belongs to Patient Adobia Osafo, is right. For good.
Lawyer for Madam Patience Osafo has been speaking to us, explaining that this seals off any civil suit that may have happened, and the client is happy about the whole deal.
This very moment is a very simple exercise. Patience Osafo, the one who suffered the unfortunate brutal assault, which has attracted the condemnation of every well-meaning Ghanaian, has come here together with her family to see and inspect the building or the house that has been given to her. We have, together with lawyers for the Midland Savings and Loans, signed an agreement. All parties have put their signatures to it, as well as the lawyers also. And the agreement is very simple, that the matters regarding her have been settled. The criminal prosecution, that one will go on, but there will not be any lawsuit, civil action or anything. And out of what I have called a rather generous, settlement package, they decided, and all the parties have agreed, that she should move from the kiosk and come into a home and have a dignified life. Of course, she's also been given some money by the bank as well. There will not be any suits, civil suits, the criminal suit, the criminal prosecution, that one, it will go on. But there will not be any civil suits against the bank. This is what has happened. It's a settlement. It's allowed by law, and that's what we have done.
Madam Patience Osafo, the victim, has expressed gratitude to the bank and is now calling on all clients of the bank to go back and work with them because she has forgiven them for whatever happened on that fateful day.
I have forgiven them for whatever they did to me. I am grateful for the house. I will urge all Midland customers to continue doing business with them.
From Fete in Kwantanan in the Central Region, my name is Martha Crensol Aqua reporting for Joy News.
And in the headlines on Joy News, Prime President Akufo-Addo expresses worry about blatant misreporting of facts in the media and the use of social media to malign people without basis. The World Bank is said to have criticized government's approach to the fight against illegal mining, saying it may not be the most effective way to tackle the menace. Former Transport Minister Jifa Ativo seeks chairmanship of the opposition National Democratic Congress in the Volta region. In business, a day after announcing the consolidation of 5 local banks in financial distress, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, assures government will assist struggling local banks.
This is Joy News Prime.